Hey, Martin here. Gonna show you how to install a cruise control in your 97 through '01 Jeep Cherokee XJ. Alright. And this is a factory items that I pulled out of a junkyard. First you'll need your switches on for your steering wheel. And when you go to the junkyard, I believe it's a Torx, the T15 or a T20 that remove the screws on the back side of the steering wheel. Almost impossible to see unless you got a mirror. So that just makes it a little bit easier. You'll need those. Just take the little wiring harness, the two switches, and this is the hookup. The whole thing operates off two wires. If you're wondering how it's done, it's the fact that each time you push this button, there's a resistor in here, and it's sending a resistor value to your ECM, to your computer in your vehicle. And by a different resistor value, it knows what you're asking it to do, all of two wires. Then you'll need your clock spring, which is underneath the steering wheel. Be careful with this when removing it, because if you remove it and you're sitting there, let's say the steering box is disconnected and you're sitting there spinning the steering wheel around, well, you're actually tightening up this clock spring to a point where it's going to break. And when you take it off, try to put the steering wheel in the center position, and then remove the steering wheel and then remove this clock spring and leave it as it is, so that way you know that this is halfway in between where it's supposed to be. You could also tighten it all up and then count it, how many turns you're getting out of it, and divide it in half and set it in place. Another thing, when you're taking it off, be very careful with these right here. When you're trying to get that clock spring off. This one here actually broke off on me and I glued it back into place. These are probably one of the more expensive items for the cruise control. Then you also need the servo and the cable that goes with it. And that you find underneath the hood right there by the fuse box. That's underneath the hood, right by the battery. I also did get the connector off of it. You don't need this. I just went ahead and snipped it off because in my application the servo is actually going to go in a different location. And I'll show you that in a little bit while here. Alright. And then on the 97 and 98 you're going to need the airbag, because of the fact that the airbag in the 97 98s extends beyond this point. So when you remove the airbag to put these in, you're going to have this piece there. So in the newer models they put just a blank plate in there. And I believe that was in 99 they started doing that. Alright, so this ended up being like $33 for the airbag. All of this here out of the junkyard cost me $82 with tax. Alright, so now we'll move into the Jeep and start putting this together. Thanks. Alright, now I've done some of the work already, so I don't want to make the video too long. Got a T20 screwdriver, and the screws are right back here on the back side of the steering wheel. There's one on each corner right here that you're going to remove. Oh, by the way, very important, go ahead and disconnect your negative side of your battery, because we don't want this airbag going off. And I'd leave it off for a while before you actually get in here and start working, and it lets like a built-in capacitor drain down to make sure there's no charge and this won't go off accidentally. Okay. Alright, and then after you get those two screws out, then it's a 8mm wrench to the back side of the steering wheel, right in each corner, and that's the ones that actually hold the airbag on. Alright, after those are removed, pull the airbag off. This will kind of just pop off, and there's your airbag wiring right there. This one right here, this is your horn wiring. You pull it off. Okay, airbag's out of the way. A 13/16 socket here. Loosen that up. I bring it in here just like so. Loosen this up, alright? You don't need to take it off all the way right now. Then you're going to need a steering wheel puller. This is a 3/8 diameter bolts. I believe they're 16 count threads. If you don't have a steering wheel puller, they rent them at AutoZone, and you actually rent them for free. And get one that's wide enough. I had a smaller one that was not big enough to go across this span. All right. Okay, so then need a 3/4 socket there. You start tightening this up. It usually doesn't take much to pull this off at all. You'll see it come off. There, it's already there. It's done. But you will not pull it off by hand. Then go ahead and remove the nut. Remember leaving the steering wheel right where it is pretty much. There we go. Let these wires pass through. Like that. Okay. Now you're going to have to take the 2 screws out of here. Pull these 2 halves apart so you can get to the little locking tabs that hold this clock spring on. Alright, let's see if that is a T20. I believe it is a Phillips screwdriver. Alright, there's 2 screws right here, Phillips screwdriver. Remove those screws, and then pop this case apart. Go ahead and pull it right out of the way. Now you got 2 screws up here on the top. Let's see, actually, I don't think we need to remove those. I remember right? No, we do. Alright, we got 3 screws to remove on this item here. That's actually what holds your turn signal switch in. Now you can get to the locking tab on that. And you got your connector down here as well. Now I have to try to get it there, and just gently with your fingers right up here pry up on that a little bit. Pull that off. You should be able to get that off of there like so. And that gets you to your wiring. Little screwdriver right here. Pry up on it. Bam. And right there too. Just pry up on that just barely. Boom. Out of there. Okay. Now we're ready to install the new clock spring. Okay, and here is where you can see the difference between the two. It's got this added green connector on it, and that is for your cruise control. Alright. Plug that in. There we go. There we go. Over. Bam. Great. Alright, now we're going to just go ahead and put the turn signal switch back into place. Okay. I'm going to get these back on. Okay, get this back here, like so. And I need to pass all the wires to the steering wheel. Alright, now we need our switches. Alright, so when you get these to go on here, you're going to slide this plastic tab in between this metal one here on the steering wheel and the back plastic piece on the back. Just like that. Then you grab your T20 driver with the screw and go ahead and fasten those into place. Okay. Now, one other real important thing we don't want to forget about: the nut to the steering wheel. Okay. Alright, now we're ready to put the airbag back on. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hook up your airbag. I'm doing the horn wire first. And the airbag wire. It snaps into place. Just like that. Alright, and then we're going to put the 2 bolts in the back for the airbag. Okay, and there we are. We're done up to this point right here inside. Now we're going to go move to the servo. Here's something I got to point out. On these switches here, before you run out and go to your junkyard and buy these, or click buy it now on eBay, if you're working on a 97 or 98, you're going to need switches from a 97 or 98. From a 99 on up to an 01, you'll need switches out of a 99 to 01. And the reason is, in 99, they changed the resistor value on these switches. So when you go putting this in here, let's say you put it in, take these out of a 99, like I did, put them into a 98 or 97, and you hit that on switch, it will not see it. The computer says, I don't recognize that value. So And if you wanted to make sure you got the right part number, on the back of each switch there's a part number. If it ends in AA or AB or AC, that would be for a 97 and 98. If it has a little asterisk by it and then down you'll see a little line, it ends in AD. That is for a 99 to 01. Alright? Alright, what we're going to do now, we're going to get this servo installed. This is pretty easy. Now if you never, you're going to find a connector down in here near the fuse box underneath the hood here, and this is going to plug directly into your servo. And what's nice about this, it's all factory wired. Okay, now because I got these relays here for other devices I got on here, like my Taurus fan, I'm not going to be able to mount the servo where it belongs, which is right where those relays are. And it's just too much work to move these lights, or these relays. Now, being that if you didn't have this, this is where it's going to mount. The connector plugs into this, and then you're going to have a vacuum line. And there should be a vacuum line running right down in here to a vacuum supply tank located near your front bumper. Mine has been moved back here, and what I'm going to do is cut a T into it and run a vacuum line back here and plug in. So what I'm doing with mine, since I cannot install it here, I'm going to take this bracket off, and this device is going to fit in the fender right in here, and the connection will come right out here. The factory harness will make it there, no problem, just like that. Alright, I'll show you that. Now because of where I got the servo mounted, you're going to see I drilled a hole right through the fender here, the inner fender. Cable runs inside here. There's a factory hole cut right back here by the battery. I think it's to provide some air to the battery to help cool it. I'll get a shot of this down here. And that's up in the fender well, between the fender and the inner fender. Right here is that hole I was showing you. Cable runs back and right through. Okay, now you get your cable run in here. There's a place right there on your valve cover where it's going to snap into. Run your cable through this hole. It's already there. That snaps into place. You're going to grab this here. It's got a place right there. It snaps on. And you're going to snap your cable onto that. Now that ought to complete your installation. Hopefully you jump in and take it for a drive and it all works for you. Alright, thanks for watching.